You say in a post-COVID world, we have to build America back better. What does that mean? Are you talking about FDR, post-1933, seize the gold, close down the banks so everything's stabilized? Like, how bold are we talking here?
Well, look, first of all, if I'm elected in January, even if we make more progress than has been made now, I'm going to inherit a country that probably has the highest unemployment rate since the Depression. And I believe that from this crisis, we have an opportunity not only to get back, but to rebuild the economy, to transform it. The blinders have been taken off, Stephen, and by a lot of people like you and an awful lot of reporters recognizing that essential workers are breaking their necks, risking their lives, many of them losing their lives, from grocery store workers to drivers, bus drivers, delivering packages, more people, doctors, lawyers, nurses. And they're doing it in many cases, not the docs, but for minimum wage and some sub-minimum wages. And that's all they're getting. So we can create millions of new jobs by building a transportation energy infrastructure in America. But a job has to be more than a paycheck, as my dad would say. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about your place in the community.
We are making America great again. You haven't heard that, have you?
In my view, the slogan, "Make America Great Again," is not a recipe for continuing progress. For one thing, it looks backwards to some golden age, and it's been said the main explanation for a golden age is a bad memory. In past decades, the United States was mired down in multiple wars. We had double-digit inflation and double-digit unemployment. The elderly large numbers of them were destitute. Millions of people had no health insurance. It was no picnic in the old days, despite the problems that we now have. Also, what's going to make us better off is not kind of zero-sum sports-like competition between nations. The problems facing us many of them are global, like rogue nuclear states, like climate change and other forms of environmental threats, like terrorists, like maximizing global wealth and prosperity. And none of these are going to be solved if we think of the international arena as one of each nation striving for its individual greatness. You can be a proud American or Frenchman or German and a citizen of the world at the same time, and so many of the problems facing us are going to require international cooperation. We lived through a period in which nation states competed against each other for glory and preeminence, and the results were not pretty. They included a couple of world wars. Since 1945, when we've had institutions of global cooperation, the rate of death in war has gone down, prosperity has gone up, and it's that kind of trend that I think we ought to continue to foster to continue the progress that we've made.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. The fundamental conceit was that we are falling behind, that we are the laughingstock of the world, and so Donald Trump, will restore us to preeminence, to our rightful place in the world. Make America great again. The core of that entire premise was a con. And the Trump campaign has now admitted as much when they coined the re-election slogan, "Make America Great Again, Again." Might be the single biggest admission of failure in the history of American presidential politics. At first, the idea America was in utter shambles in 2016 was a ridiculous premise. But now we are precisely what Donald Trump said we were before he was elected. It was the ultimate act of projection, indeed of prediction. He said we were the laughingstock of the world, and then he made us into the laughingstock of the world. The coronavirus hit the whole world. Back in the early days of the pandemic, in March and April, sitting here talking to you at this camera, we all struggled together. This is Wuhan, China, where it all started, at a water park. These are the Spanish Steps in Italy. This is Bondi Beach in Australia, and a rugby match in New Zealand. People are going to concerts and sporting events. They're going to weddings and funerals. Most of these countries have basically beaten the virus, but not here. In the United States, our leadership failed. Donald Trump failed. The rest of the world was able to follow the advice of public health experts and suppress the virus. They are still fighting outbreaks, it's true, but the scale of those outbreaks pale in comparison to what we see on a daily basis in this country. If you pay the price of vigilance and self-control, you reap the reward of freedom. We went through all the trouble and all the costs and all the disruption of closing down the country, the misery, the trauma, the dislocation, the economic pain. And once you go through all that, you have to push through those last few weeks of shutdown that seem excessive to really smother the virus, because you only want to have to do that once.